Welcome to the final part of the Percy Jackson series that revolves around Percy's fight with the Titan Lord Kronos. And that is my favorite, Last Olympian. This is my favorite book. I just love this book. So without further ado, let's just begin with the plot, beginning, middle of the story, and the ending. So the book begins with Percy and Rachel Elizabeth Dare having a conversation, which I'm not going to add any further details. It's quite entertaining. Afterwards, Charles Beckendorf, who is actually the head counselor of the Hephaestus cabin, Hephaestus being the children of the Greek god of fire and metalwork. They're of course brilliant engineers and are considered to be one of the smartest group of children in camp, along with the kids of Athena. Beckendorf, being the leader of this cabin, of course, is extremely smart. And he and Percy need to go onto the Titan's ship, known as the Princess Andromeda, where Luke and all of his monster buddies are on. They need to blow up the ship so that it does not reach Manhattan to fight the demigods, or at least slow them down. And so that's what they do. They enter the ship, that everything's strapped up, everything is going according to plan, but then monsters discover them. Percy has to fight through those sets of monsters again and again, and he finally comes face to face with Luke Castellan, who I did not mention this in the final book, in the last book I mean, but I'm going to mention it this one. Luke Castellan gets merged with the Titan Lord Kronos in the last book. That's how drastic that is. And after getting merged with him, he is this being with glowing eyes who can slow down time itself, because Kronos is actually the Lord of Time. And because of this ability, Percy is not even able to get a slash at him. And even if he does, it bounces off of him. His sword, Riptide, bounces off of Luke's skin and does not even make a single gash. Percy wonders why. But he does not have time to ponder over this question, because Beckendorf is now offering up his life. He wants to commit suicide by blowing up the ship and allowing Percy to escape so that he can take the monsters with him. A very noble decision that he wants to make. But Percy, of course, being the guy he is, would not accept this. But Beckendorf tells him to leave, and he's about to press the button, and Percy has no choice but to jump out of the ship, and he goes into the water. The ship blows up, and yeah, Beckendorf unfortunately dies. When he wakes up, he meets his brother Tyson. Tyson tells him that there's no sign of Beckendorf, and so he is dead, officially and thoroughly dead. He then goes to Camp Half-Blood, where he talks a little bit to Chiron, tells the Beckendorf's unfortunate demise to his girlfriend Selena Beauregard. Sorry, I have difficulties pronouncing her name. But now is the most pivotal point of this entire series in my mind, and that is the revealing of the great prophecy to Percy Jackson. The great prophecy is the prophecy that overarches this entire series. It talks about how some of the big three will reach 16 against all odds, how he will fight against Kronos, and how the cursed dagger will end up being the fate for the Titan Lord. And so this prophecy, again, as I say, is the overarching prophecy for the entire novel. So it is the novel series. So it is a very big plot point when it is brought up by Percy's father, Poseidon, when he is actually fighting alongside him in the sea. So yeah, I was really shocked at that time. I was really wanting to know what the great prophecy was, and I was very excited to read it. And when they actually ended up reading it, Percy realizes and thinks that there's a line in the prophecy that refers to a soul being reaped. And Percy, of course, thinking he's the hero of the prophecy, he is going to have his soul reaped and will die. Nevertheless, no matter what decisions he makes, he will end up to die. He will end up dying. So, because of this anxiety that he has within his mind, he has rifts with Annabeth, and he has rifts with Annabeth, and he has doubt upon his own camp. Percy is a person who is always confident in, at least even if he's not confident in himself, he is always confident in the abilities of his cabin mates. And if he is, suspicious of that power that they possess, then there's something certainly wrong. We'll come back to Percy's doubts later on, but right now there's a very important point which I have to add. Remember how I mentioned about the secret plan that Nico and D'Angelo had conveyed to Percy at the end of the last book, and Percy had thought it was so drastic. That plan could have such a macabre ending that Percy would never be able to recover from it. But Nico D'Angelo meets him in the woods and manages to convince him to undergo this plan. And so he dreadedly has to enter the underworld. And before he does, he stumbles upon his friend Grover, who has been put to sleep by the god of dreams for the past 3 whole months. He was trying to tell creatures about the death of Pan, and during his adventures, he was put to sleep by this god. And he wakes up after 3 months. He helps to open a gate to the underworld where they enter. Now, after doing that, Percy is led into a trap by Nico D'Angelo when he reveals him to his father, Hades. Nico had only done this in return for information regarding his mother and his backstory, which has yet not been revealed to him. And Percy is, of course, understandably infuriated and is put in a prison by Hades, who really does not like his nephew, Percy Jackson. But subsequently, Nico D'Angelo releases Percy out of his prison. Percy, of course, does not trust Nico, but he has no other option but to do so. They then go to the river Styx. This was the plan all along. Now, the river Styx is a river present in the underworld, which is mentioned multiple times across Greek mythology. Is actually where the hero Achilles actually took a bath as a baby. And he had 1 weak spot left after that, and that was his heel. And that's why we know that part of our body as the Achilles heel, by the way. That's a fun fact. So, Achilles, ghost or spirit, was stationed at the river Styx to warn whoever tries to take a dip in it to go away. He tells them that this river might make you physically strong, but it will make you mentally overconfident, and you will become arrogant, and it will lead to your downfall. He warns every person who has tried to do this, and he warns Percy Jackson as well. He also mentions a line about another boy who had come right before Percy, and Percy then realizes that that boy was Luke, and that's why he was not able to inflict a single injury upon him while he was fighting him with his sword. But now it's time to take the dip in the river of Styx, and he does that. Now he has to think of a thought that clings him or attaches him to the normal world. And that thought is Annabeth Chase. She comes as a vision which drags him out of the river Styx and helps him to stay alive. Hades then finds out about this prison break and attacks Percy and Nico. Percy, now having dipped in the river Styx, has only one weak point, and that is right in the middle of his back, corresponding to his belly button. So he managed to cut through armies of spirits, monsters, and what else, and he managed to pin one of the big three to the ground. That shows how powerful he is. Although Hades cannot be killed, he can be severely injured by Percy, and so he fades into nothingness to escape. And finally, Percy returns to the normal world, completely juiced up. And there are many other adventures that they encountered in the story. I absolutely love the battles that he has with Kronos, especially at the end when he goes to the throne room of the gods at Mount Olympus above the Empire State Building to fight him. And I love how Luke fights back against Kronos, becomes the unsung hero of the prophecy, which was foretold by Rachel Elizabeth there at the end of this book, and takes the cursed blade, who we were thinking about this till this time was Percy's sword, Riptide, but it was actually Annabeth's dagger, gifted to her by Luke himself. He takes the dagger, stabs himself in his Achilles heel, which is right under his arm, and he ends up dying a hero's death. What a book this is. And then Percy just meets the gods at the end of the book. He asks for so many promises from them, trying to ensure that no, the demigod child goes unclaimed. He tries to get Calypso to be freed from Ogygia, and he also asks them to ensure many other commodities and minor gods having their own camps at Camp Half-Blood. I also really like the part where Typhon actually fights with the gods, the 12 Greek gods. And I just want to mention this one little caption which is in the book is just overshadowing the Heroes of Olympus series. And that book is a letter written by Coach Gleason Hedge. Literally, Coach Gleason Hedge, who has such a pivotal role in these 5 books, and he has written a letter to Grover, stating about the problems that he is facing with monsters in Canada. This is a foreshadow of what's to come in these books. It's a foreshadow of this character, it's a foreshadow of Heroes of Olympus, and that's what I love about Rick Riordan's books. He has such a good way of foreshadowing the future books and future plot points, and it's just brilliant by him, to be honest. In this book, it's just, I can't even say anything about it. It's just 5 on 5. Go read it. It's a must read. Favorite book in the Percy Jackson series. Goodbye.